So I met Valerie when my doctor, my OBGYN, referred me to her for pelvic floor therapy. I had absolutely no idea what my doctor was talking about. I had never heard of pelvic floor therapy, and she was fairly certain that I hadn't. So she kind of eased me into the idea. And I made my appointment not knowing anything about what this was going to be like. I really had absolutely no idea. And I must say that it is probably the most invasive examination and treatment that any woman can ever have. And Valerie made me comfortable from the very minute I walked in the door. And I've had at least 4 sessions with her, and each one a growing understanding of what I need to do. She's so clear and so precise and knows her field so well. I feel so blessed that I found her. I was diagnosed with a prolapsed uterus, and I knew I was feeling something very, very strange, and I had absolutely no idea what it was. And this was the reason that my OBGYN referred me to Valerie. So as we proceeded, the examinations got more intense, and the exercises that Valerie gave me helped incredibly. Each week I could actually feel the uterus returning to its original position. And what I liked most was that Valerie explained to me this whole process, and through diagrams and models, she really explained to me what my body was doing and how these changes were happening, and with my aging and having born children and all of that was all information I really didn't have, and I was so surprised that I didn't. I consider myself to be educated and informed on so many levels, and I thought, this is so important and I know absolutely nothing about it. So I started talking with my friends, and none of them wanted to talk about it, and so many of them had the same symptoms that I did. So we decided to ask Valerie if she would have what we thought was just going to be a small informal gallery, but could she put together a presentation for us? And she did. And it was an outstanding PowerPoint presentation. We had over 40 women, all of whom sat on the edge of their chair waiting for the next explanation of the next symptom that almost all of us in the room shared. And it was really quite remarkable. And we made it a fundraiser and raised over $400 for Planned Parenthood. So in addition to treating my prolapsed uterus and giving me all kinds of exercises to do and instructions on how to do them, Valerie also addressed a number of other problems that I was having that I didn't believe were related to the prolapsed uterus. But through the models and through the diagrams and on the computer illustrations of what my body looks like inside, I really began to understand that all of this is very, very connected. And she treated me holistically, rather as the whole person and not just one body part at a time. So this led to a thorough discussion of my bowel movements, which at first I thought, this is so bizarre to be having this conversation, but you know, it's one of my biggest issues, has been my whole life, and I feel like I finally conquered it. And that would never have happened had I not met Valerie. But in addition to that, she suggested that I buy this squatty potty, and she was at her computer, and boy, she picked up those pictures came up on the screen, and she was showing me this one and that one, and they were all white plastic. And I said, never, that's not going to happen in my bathroom. It's all stone, it's all birch veneer, it has this Japanese flair. She said, not a problem. And she went right back to the computer and said, look, they have them in bamboo, even in an Asian style design. So she was, I say she was relentless, but in a very kind and gentle way. She just wasn't going to let me get away with it. Now that I've been doing the exercises for a couple of 3 months on a regular basis, the uterus is no longer prolapsed. I do want to caution everyone that if you don't do the exercises, the uterus goes right back to where it was, and it's really essential. It's like everything else, and this was again explained to me very well by Valerie. We have to do it on a regular basis, and she also recommended psyllium husks, which None of the previous doctors I had gone to had ever suggested something that was organic and natural treatment for constipation. And the psyllium have taken so many of my symptoms away completely, and I am forever grateful.